Hi, this is Jonathan Rosen here, the Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post about Noach. We're going to look at the leadership qualities of Noach. In a sense, Noach is a ambiguous leader. The qualities that he had, the way that he put his leadership into action, brings up a lot of questions. And this is touched on by a number of Mefarshim. One in particular we're going to focus on for this post is the Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah contrasts the leadership of Noach with Moshe Rabbeinu, in the sense that he sees that there's a commonality between them. There's some sort of a comparison between them in the way that the Torah presents each of them with the phraseology of Ish. That Noach is Ish Tzaddik and Moshe Rabbeinu is Ish Mitzri. But the Meshech Chochmah points out what happens to this Ish Tzaddik and Ish Mitzri. Noach, as Ish Tzaddik, starting off as this righteous person, becomes Ish Adama, man of the ground, man of the earth. Whereas Moshe Rabbeinu, as Ish Mitzri, the Egyptian man, becomes Ish Elokim. So there's a comparison here that we can contrast, as the Meshech Chochmah points out, Noach and Moshe Rabbeinu. And we can elaborate, or points out what happened to the leadership of Noach and the leadership in contrast of Moshe Rabbeinu. That Noach went from Ish Tzaddik to Ish Adama because he was focused on himself, that he was internally focused, that his leadership did not spread out and actually have an influence, expand, and actually go on to affect in a positive way other people. Whereas Moshe Rabbeinu, his quality of leadership was to actually lead by having an influence on other people. That we can say being a leader doesn't necessarily require you to have an official title of being a leader, or that because you're charismatic or because you're able to communicate in an effective way. What we can learn out, what the Meshech Chochmah is pointing out, is that perhaps everybody can use the characteristics, can use the qualities that the Kodesh Baruch Hu has given them to channel these qualities for leadership. That as long as it's influencing other people, as long as other people are being affected in a beneficial way, in a positive way, you are a leader. And everybody can say that about themselves. Hopefully everybody can try to recognize and identify what qualities they have that can then influence other people, whether it's in your family, whether it's in your community, whether it's at work. And this is what we're presented by the Meshech Chochmah, that Noach, as a leader, did not have followers, so that he wasn't a leader in a sense. It's like a king without any people, without a kingdom. It's like a manager, a CEO without a company, without any employees. You can only be a leader if the qualities that you have actually go on to affect other people and can positively affect in a beneficial way. That is what the Meshech Chochmah points out in this contrast between Noach and Moshe Rabbeinu, and the change between Ish Tzaddik to Ish Adama, or Ish Mitzri to Ish Elokim. And if we look at that in our lives, we want to be the leader. We want to be a leader. We want to try to help other people, to benefit other people. Certainly in the news as well, President Trump is drawing a lot of attention in terms of his leadership qualities, in terms of what he's achieved, whether it's with Israel, whether it's with trying to achieve with Ukraine. His leadership qualities are there for all to see. It raises questions of whether he's internally focused, whether it's just because he wants to win the Nobel Prize, or you could say that certainly there's an aspect of he wants to help other people. His actions, he's implementing his leadership qualities, the qualities that he has, to help, to benefit, and to positively affect other people in the world, other nations in the world. And this actually starts, if we look at it from in terms of a childhood development, leadership qualities, in terms of identifying what are your characteristics, what are the qualities that you were born with, starts obviously from an early age, and therefore leadership can start from an early age as well. Now, if you go to a classroom, there's always the kid who views himself as being the king of the class, the person who is the leader. Everyone has to follow him. He's the loudest perhaps, or he's the one that has the most influence, or he's the one that's best at football, or whatever qualities it is that is admired by other people or puts him in a position of being a position of leadership. But the truth is, every single child can be a leader in the class. Every single child in the class has the potential to find out what to look and see what are their qualities, to identify the qualities that they have that can have a positive influence on their friends, that can have a positive influence on their class, that can have a positive influence on the people around them. Every child from a young age can do that, can actually start to feel and take pleasure in their leadership qualities, not because it's sort of egotistical that they want to have this sort of grandiose view of I am the leader and I am the king, but rather in a very authentic way, in a very real way. A child can understand I can be a leader. They have the privilege to appoint themselves as a leader over other people, and that can only be that right, that privilege is only awarded if you actually see in practice that the actions and the behaviors that you have, your conduct, then goes on to have a positive influence on other people. The focus is on the other, not on yourself. It starts with identifying your qualities, but then those qualities only take on the shape of leadership if you then can see how they are having a positive influence on your friend, on your neighbor, on your family, on the people around you. Have a good Shabbos and keep well.